All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Wayne's World Garage. Today, we're trying something new. First of all, I've got this Sennheiser remote microphone, which my buddy Jared lent me, because he says my audio is not very good. So hopefully the audio will be better. You all let me know. But what are we doing here? Well, you might have seen my last video where we worked on the fire hydrant. Everyone needs a fire hydrant. Well, I don't need one, but my dogs need one, except you got female dogs. But it's for the male dogs in the neighborhood. So what I want to do is get this guy all painted up. So we managed to successfully get off one of these caps. The other two have not quite come off so easily. So it should be pretty easy. Just put a socket or wrench on them. But if you look carefully, it's a penta nut. What the hell is that? Like a pentagon's got 5 sides. So it could be a little bit more tricky. So I tried hard with a little bit of a pipe wrench, not a very big one, put some pipes on that, put lots of penetrating oil in it, no love. So what's the next step? I can go to Fleabay, go to Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and they'll sell me a special wrench, but I'm not quite sure it's gonna work. Probably the quickest way to do it is go to the firehouse, talk to those guys, and get them to hook me up. But what fun is going to the firehouse? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a socket. So if you look carefully here, you really can't see it on this one. Maybe we can see it on the other one. Hold on, let me look at the other one. Let's walk over here. If you look on this guy, it says 1 3/8. So that's what the size of this bad boy is. It's 1 3/8 hex nut. Okay, so just go to Amazon. It's a Penta Socket, not a hex nut. Penta Socket. Doesn't quite work that way. So not going to happen. So what you can do is make your own socket, which is what I'm going to try and do. Good luck at that. I've made nuts before, made bolts before. Today we'll make a socket. So the first thing we do is get some numbers here. And hopefully you all can see this. First thing is you need to know what the diameter is, okay? And the diameter of this thing here is actually twice the radius. So multiply 0.7601 times 1.520 gives you 1.520 inches is diameter. Now, thankfully, the milling machine has a little circle thing on it, so I can put 5 holes in it and see if it will cut holes where it should be. Now, to save effort for the uninitiated or people who really don't care, you can see I poked 5 little holes in this thing with a mill just to see if it's going to be on track. And this is just a piece of aluminum test piece. Kind of looks like they're where they should be. So the next step here is to get my piece of steel, which I have right here. I've got it faced off. We'll take some metal out of the middle and we'll start working on making a 5-sided socket. So let's get going. All right, well, this is probably easier said than done, but the first step here is take off this vise and put the rotary table on here. And again, that's a little bit easier because while riding my bike last week to the store, I crashed and I broke a rib. And boy, does it hurt like a son of a gun. So lifting these up is going to be a little bit tricky, but I'm sure we'll get her done. So let me do that right now. Alrighty, so just so you know what we do here is I've put my 3-jaw chuck, which is on this plate here. We didn't move this, the rotary table, the X or Y, and I've got this fixed piece of 5/8 steel in here. I put it in a collet, I tighten that down a little bit, and now all you gotta do is tighten these down with these guys loose. And with them loose, it should pretty well find pretty much what we would call the center of this thing. So what we can do is we can lift this up and down and make sure we're on it the way we should be on it, and then see how that works out. So stand by. So loosen the collet a little bit, the 3-jaw chuck I mean. Loosen this 3-jaw chuck, tighten it down a little bit. And I know I'm right on the center, so I know I'm at 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, which is kind of where I want to be. And now I can put my piece of metal in here and get cracking jacking. All right, so what I want to do here, before we go too crazy, is I want to make my reference points on my socket. So we have this thing, which is like an XY thing here that does lots of good measuring, does calculations and stuff like that. So I can make a 5-hole circle fairly easily. The trick here is I need to make a 5-hole circle, but the diameter is 1.520 inches. And that's a little bit tricky, but it's twice the circumcircle radius. What do they call that? The radius. Well, that only makes sense. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's push this little circle button. Center. We hit enter. That's where we're at. Diameter 1.52. 1.5. Enter. Number of holes 5. Starting angle 0. Stopping angle 0. Hole number 1. There you go. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to tack this thing just a little bit, just so I know where the heck we're going for a reference. So we're going to make some noise here. Roll up your sleeves because you don't want them getting caught in the Bridgeport mill, because it would take your shirt sleeves off. Then you have to find a wife that wants to sew them. Good luck at that. Oops. After we turn on the 3-phase power. So now I've got my 5 holes pretty well lined up, so happy camper there. Next step. All right, so fast forward here. We have an end mill in here, a 4-flute end mill, which is 1/4 inch diameter. So if I cut a 1/4 inch hole here, we're gonna have problems, Houston. So you need to move it over 1/8 of an inch to be at the end. Additionally, instead of A, you need to subtract 1/8 of an inch from either side. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to move it in the x-axis. Okay, 0.125 inches. 125. About. We're going to move it over in the y-axis, 0.125. Something like that. And now when I touch base, we should be good to go. Except, how far do I go over this direction? Well, I want to go A minus 1/4 of an inch. So it's 0.893 minus 0.250. Who can do the math real quick? Not me. So according to my math, I want to come over 0.643 inches. Let's see how that works. So what we're doing here is we're adding 72. 360 divided by 72. No, 360 divided by 5 is 72. So bring it over 72 degrees each time. And let's see what we get from there. So 197 plus 72 is, I don't know. All right, so a couple hours on this on Sunday night, and then we take a break, and now it's Monday morning. Okay, well here we are of making the socket for this fire hydrant project. The reality is, if Wayno wasn't so stubborn, I would have just went to the store and bought a fire hydrant wrench. Or better yet, go to the local fire department and get them to help me take this thing apart. But what fun is that? So what we're doing is we're cutting a pentagon-shaped socket so I can yank these covers off. I don't know, it's a good opportunity to use a milling machine, stuff like that. So what I've got it set up on the rotary table here so I can index it every 72 degrees, because 72 times 5 is 360, something like that. So basically, you have to turn it 72 degrees every time. And what I'm doing is I set it up now so I know my zero is, I can go back and forth 0 to 0.5094, okay, to the right-hand side, and cut and cut and cut and cut until I'm done. That's kind of boring, but if you want to watch me do it, let it run and see how it goes. So what the heck, here we go. Now this is where it would be awfully nice if I had Jay Leno's 3D printer or a CNC. This would go pretty quick, but instead of going my way, old school. So what I've got here, as I told you before, is this important piece of paper on making a hexagon-shaped socket for my fire hydrant. So these are the numbers I need for indexing on the rotary table. 54, 126, 198, 270, 342. And I'm moving the end mill, it's a half-inch end mill, from a 0, because I zeroized it, to 0.509. So from there, it's boring. It's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth as I cut, because I can only take 15 or 20 thousandths at a time, because my setup's a little bit wobbly here. But whatever, seems to be working okay. So let me just show you what we've got over here now. So let me show you what I've gotten so far. Okay, here's my nut. It looks like a pentagon-shaped nut. The Air Force and Coast Guard and those guys will be very impressed with my work. Well, I'm not going very fast, but we're getting there, and you can see a little bit. We've made some progress, and we will continue to crank it down. So it's kind of boring watching this. I'll show you a few passes, but it's not too exciting. So let me just do that right now and keep going. Here's another little view here. This camera fights me all the way, frankly. I'm not sure how much I like it, but the other one turned into a brick, so I like it more than the other one since that one didn't work anymore. Piece of Chinese junk. So let me see if we can get you a couple of interesting shots of this. Here's the view. We'll see. All right, can I reach this? Can I reach that? Yes. So let me put this back to where it was. Zeroize this guy here. Zeroize that guy. So now my Y is zeroed. And I lock the Y down. And then I gotta go up this 5 turns here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now turn it on. Go a little bit more. So the real question is how far down do I go before I give it a shot? I don't want to go another probably 500,000, another half an inch down, and we'll see how it works. But then I got to do the other sides. I think the other sides will be a little bit quicker than this one, but who knows? So let me get cracking, because this has got to be boring to watch, just for me. All right, so where are we at? I've got 2 sides almost cut. Hopefully this doesn't make you too sick. Okay, and I go down about 1 inch. So we're making some progress. 3 more to go, and we'll see how it goes. Probably won't even come close. But what I've got here on the X, I go to 0 to 0.509, keep Y about 0. And when I do, I have to keep cleaning this out with the vacuum, because unlike the real milling machines where they've got oil and goop like that going through these to keep it cool, I don't have any of that stuff. So I just have to kind of wing it. So right now, I am at 126 or 127 degrees. 126, well that's good. So the next step would be at 54 degrees. So, all right, how's that? Does that look like 54 degrees to you? Looks like 54 degrees to me. So I got 54 degrees there. Lock these guys down. And what I'll do is I'll bring this Y-axis in a little bit. and then I can start cranking again. So let me get cracking. All right, so we got 4 out of 5 cut. We got 1 more to go. It's going swimmingly well. Check that out, man. Actually looks like I know what I'm doing, considering I don't. The question is it gonna fit? Who knows? We're gonna find out soon enough. But, all right, well, let me let it rip, Tater Chip, and see how this goes. Can you see me at all? You don't want to see my face. So here's the dealio. I know 15 cranks on here gets me to depth. So there you go. And then what we want to do is set the, you can't see it, I'm not going to change the camera to 509. Or thereabouts. And then let me bring it in. So 509, I think I'm good. So I'm so excited I forgot to do this right. I'm at 342, I need to go to 54 degrees. So let me do that and start from scratch. Even the best of us make mistakes. So it's actually using this size end mill. I'm not going to get around the bend entirely, but I might get close. But we'll see how it works. I can always use a smaller end mill, and we'll see how that does if I need to get on that edge more. So now for the moment of truth. So what I did is I took a 1/4 inch end mill here, and I got a little bit closer to the corners here, because otherwise they're going to be as round as the end mill. With a 1/2 inch end mill, you're going to figure out what the radius is going to be. It's not very good. So what I did is I used a 1/4 inch end mill, got a little bit flatter, and now, God, does that look good or what? Holy smokes. And I'm not going to go any deeper. So that, if that doesn't get the son of a gun off, nothing will. So the question is now is, could be a little bit tighter actually, but we're not going to redo it. That's for doggone sure. So now the question is, what do I want to do on the other side of this thing? So I can take this out of here finally, because this was been a big effort. Okay, take this out of here. So I could weld a nut on here. I could secure a bolt to here somehow and weld that in. That'd be pretty cool. And then I have something to get it with the impact wrench. I could machine it. Okay, and that'd be pretty cool too. Now if I machine it, I'm probably going to run out of metal here. So if I go in that far, I could machine it. I could machine a nut on the end of it and hit with the impact wrench. That's a lot of work, but it might be fun to do. It'd be a whole lot easier than machining this other thing, because you just hit it with the end mill and then just crank away every 60 degrees. So I need to think about that, because this thing's, what's the diameter of this thing? Yeah, 2.5 inch diameter. So let me see what size sockets I've got that are big. So I've got 1 inch and 1 1/4 inch impacts. And that might be the way to do it. You know, I don't mind doing that at all. That'd be kind of cool. Then I'll have a real thing. Now, if I was really excited, I would machine it in here so the impact wrench could fit on there. Maybe that's what I'll do. So let me think about that a second. Stand by. All right, well, here's what we're going to do here. We've got this piece of metal here with my wonderful Penta socket, and it's 2.5 inches diameter, and I'm going to make a nut out of the top of this, which is, if it's a 1.25 inch socket, 1 1/4 inch socket for you woodworkers. It'd be 5/4 for you guys do woodworking, but us real men call it 1.25 inches. So what I'm going to do is, if I'm 2.5, got to go 1.25, That sounds about half. Got to cut it 625 thousandths, otherwise known as 5/8 of an inch. So I'll cut 5/8 of an inch, turn it 60, 5/8, turn it 60, 5/8, turn it 60, blah, blah, blah. Be good to go in no time. So let me get cracking on that right now. All right, so not that anybody cares, but the mill I've got is a 1/2 inch diameter. So if it's 1/2 inch diameter, and then you come in 0.625, we want to touch this edge, okay, and then move it 0.625. So we'll work from there. We're at 2.5 thousandths. So I'm going to zeroize this when I get to the edge here, and I'll start cutting in. Man, am I good looking. But if you want to know, go to boltdepot.com or any machinist handbook. Has all the nuts and bolt sizes. It tells you how to, doesn't tell you how to make them, but it tells you the exact minimum diameters. So for the nut I'm making a 1.25 inch nut. It can go down to 1.21 inches. So we'll let it rip from there. All right, well, just a real quick check. I've cut in 615 thousandths of an inch. So let's see what we got here for them. And I am at approximately 1.260, 1.2, almost 50. So I'm gonna go in 5 thousandths on either side and then remeasure it. 5 thousandths? Yeah, let me go in 5 thousandths on either side. You can't see it, but I'm at 1.245, which would inspect. Holy smokes. All right, nice. So now what we're gonna do is rotate 60 degrees and come in the same amount. Well, how fun is that? Maybe I'll change this battery first. No, I don't think so. All right, well, here's the dealio. This takes more effort than expected, but here's my hex nut on top of my socket. And here's my snap-off socket, 1 1/4 inch socket, impact socket. And look at how it fits. Amazing. So mission accomplished. Well, not quite. At least I made a nut socket. Socket nut, nut socket. I had to go another 5 thousandths. I was supposed to go 0.625, and I put it in about another 10 thousandths. The wrench fit, snap-on wrench fit just fine, but the socket was a little bit too snug when I did it this way. So that's kind of cool. So the next thing here is, and I'm not going to do it right now, but let me loosen this guy up from here. So look at this here. Here's my socket, and here's my nut. Huh. And I didn't cut through either. That'd be a miracle. That would have been amazing if it did. That would have really been annoying. But now we're going to come over here, and this will be another video. But with any luck, oh, look at that! I'm kind of excited. So I want to put this on there and crank it off right now. There you go. Anybody need a Penta Socket? 1 3/8 inch? I got one. So, very cool. All right, well, that's a story. So hopefully this video will be fun to watch. And next step will be to take these guys off. All right, well, thanks for watching another episode of Wayne's World Garage. As you can see, we made a Penta Socket for a fire hydrant. It's a 1 3/8 inch Penta Socket. And we put a 1 2/5 inch, 1 1/4 inch nut on the back side of it. So that way we can hit with the impact wrench or a 3/4 inch socket set if we have to. Hope you all like this. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe and leave a comment. Take care, and thanks for watching.